English 104 students, I'm here with another video, of course, in the online distance learning classroom to help you understand a little bit about what I'm looking for in a concluding paragraph for your persuasive research papers. So I've got some different options, and largely I'm going to walk you through a PowerPoint that I'll include within the page for the assignment that's associated with, concluding paragraphs. But largely this will show you three different ways that you can work through conclusions, as well as ultimately some parameters that you can follow. All right, so let me share my screen with you here so that we're able to follow along together. All right, so in terms of writing concluding paragraphs, there's a couple things that you want to make sure that you are paying attention to. A concluding paragraph should really offer some final thoughts on the conversation, but that doesn't mean that it needs to be the last word on the issue. A lot of times people think that they need to shut down the conversation that takes place within their paper, right? That debate that's happening. Remember, the conclusion is a chance for you to open your paper up, not necessarily shut everything down. It's a chance for you to offer your final thoughts, but hopefully send your reader in a new direction to help them continue the research moving forward. Okay, so you'll notice these three other bullet points that are listed here, largely saying, hey, we want to make sure that you are not just simply restating your thesis. You need to let your thesis evolve over time, which means that you need to move beyond just restating it, and you need to paraphrase it, right? Simplify it to a certain extent to where your reader can understand it in light of everything else that you've written throughout the paper. And we also want to remember that the conclusion shouldn't just be a quick summary of your essay, but it should have a summary in it. So it doesn't need to be just a summary, but you need to have some summary elements within it, okay? And a concluding paragraph should not be the longest paper or the longest paragraph within your paper. Really think about a half a page to 3/4 of a page long at most. Okay, so let's talk about those three different possibilities that you could use. So one of them I like to call full circle. It's where you refer back to whatever you did within your introduction. If you if you mentioned an example within your introduction, or you mentioned a movie within your introduction, or some type of pop culture reference, or some question, then you want to bring your reader's attention back to that, and then we can think of your introduction as well as your conclusion as the bookends for the overall paper. Okay, so that's one way to get us back to the beginning of the paper, is how did you grab the reader's attention? And you could do that in your conclusion, partly by saying, let me restate, or let me simplify my thesis and my stance, make it very clear to them. Let me summarize parts of my paper and then bring everything full circle. Okay, so you'll notice that we still have those three parts that are taking place within your conclusion. So if we look at the next possibility, oops, here, there we go. If we take a look at the next possibility, it's the big picture. It's the so what. And generally, you want to be thinking the so what in your paper, meaning what is the bigger picture? What is still left unanswered? How does your idea complicate the real world? How does it solve some type of issue? That's the so what. Think of how can you get on your soapbox and make it very clear to your reader how this is applicable to the real world. So again, you will say, let me give a simplified thesis, let me look through and summarize my main points, and then let me give the big picture. So it's that so what element, okay? And then the last one is think about how you can open your paper up to something new by providing some type of representative example. So can you bring a new example to the table? Not necessarily a new source, right? But a new example. Maybe you bring yourself into it, meaning the personal experience. Or you offer a hypothetical example, or you go back to one of the sources that you mentioned in your paper, pull a vivid example. So the reason that we would do this is the conclusion is because it pulls upon the pathos side of things, right? Examples are largely based within emotions, and therefore it grips your reader, and that's how you want to finish an argument within your paper, is on somewhat of an emotional note to help them hopefully stick with you in your overall argument. Okay, so those are some potential examples, that are some potential methods that you could use to get through your concluding paragraph, but largely what we're looking at is with every one of them, you're going to have a restatement or a simplification of your thesis that it evolved over time, and you can help your reader understand it. And then you're also going to have a summary of the points within your essay. So of the main points, think your topic sentences. And then lastly, you'll use one of these methods saying, let's go full circle, bring us back to the intro. Let's enrich the reader's understanding of the paper with the so what, how is it applicable to the real world, or you'll provide some type of example. This isn't to say that these all have to be separate from one another, okay? You can combine them together if you feel comfortable with that, but it's hopefully going to show you some different ways that you can work through your concluding paragraph with some strategies. All right. So I hope that you found this video helpful. Please feel free, of course, to email me if you have any questions, and I will make this PowerPoint available to you on as well. All right. Take care and stay brilliant.